Good morning, traders. It is Monday, October 18th, 2021, 11:29 a.m. I'm in Weligama Bay, Sri Lanka, and I want to go over USDCHF and my weekly outlook on this pair. So let's get started with the top-down analysis, and I can explain my long-term bias. So on the weekly chart, we can see that USDCHF is on a bear run. It's on a bearish trend overall, but currently at the moment we do have an interruption. So when we're looking at, let me pull up the crosshair. When we're looking at this zone right here that was made at the end of June 2020, so the past year, USDCHF has actually been in a range. What had happened was price broke down, and then it took several weeks for it to happen, but price broke into new highs for the pattern that we're seeing right now. And this new high is signaling further upside momentum. How far up? I do foresee price going up about another 400 plus pips before it does react and possibly go back down and continue the bear trend. So that's what I'm foreseeing so far in USDCHF. But if I were to plot this price down, so let's just do some markups right here on the weekly chart. So like I said, there's a weekly area of resistance. We can see right here. Price came back up, got rejected, price came back up. So right around here, we can start the weekly area of resistance. And then there's a minor area of resistance in the weekly chart right above here. So this is kind of the range that we're looking into buying and taking profits, about 160 pip range. And anything down below that would signal a continuation to the downside, I don't really see. I see that there's supply being tested now as demand this month, last month, or 2 months ago. Apologize for that. 22nd of August, price resistance got broken, and we could see price rise towards these highs. That's my projection for this pair. At the moment, price did pause for a few weeks and consolidate. As we can see, the entire month of September was actually in a congestion. So I actually stood out of USDCHF for the past month because when I was trading it, it did give me that signal that the pair was going to go into a range for the next several weeks. So that's where we're going to mark up our most recent area of resistance that we're going to play on the smaller time frames. Now, an area of support, like I said, if it goes anywhere beyond 0.89 flat, then we could potentially see price continue to the downside. But that's a very large range, and I'm not placing my stop that wide because I'd be sitting in this trade for several weeks, and that's not the plan. Going to the daily chart now, we can see that price did have a bullish surge, and it's currently climbing towards the upside. There were several days of consolidation, as we can see right here, and so we were not playing this market. Price looks like it did create a nice swing high for us to buy into and to take profits up there and to continue on its way up. It looks like a beautiful setup this week. That's why I'm even explaining and introducing this pair for this week. This is a new pair. I normally go over 4 pairs during the week, but this week I will introduce USDCHF. So on the 4 hourly, do we see any other potential areas of confluence? Let's see. There's another area right here. It's a potential demand zone. We see price is bouncing off of that area. So price does have a daily close below 0.912. Then we can see a potential fall further down, but at the moment it's still away from that. So that's about 138 pips away. I still see that that's too wide of a stop loss to place if I were to place a stop. So let's go into the 4-hour time frame now so we can see now our 4-hour projection zones. So on the 4-hour, we see that there was some obvious retail stops down below. So we wouldn't have taken a trade with a stop loss down below there. It's just foolish. It's retail stops, and it was bound to get hits, and that's exactly what it did. It triggered buy orders, and then it went and swing back, stopping out those buy orders that had stop losses right below there, along with other retail buyers that was there the entire month. So that's how the trend began. And then not only did it stop out retail buyers, but it actually went further down to convince retail sellers that price is going to go down for the month. And now you can see price is currently pulling back upwards against the retail sellers that got sell triggered. It went for a stop run. This is what you call a stop run, when it goes and it triggers the orders in the opposite direction just so it could stop hunt the pair. So on the next wave up, we are looking for a projection to stop hunt these people right above there. So that's my minor area of resistance, also going to be my profit taking zone. So let me just change the color of this up. And this is all starting to make sense to you all. If you continue watching my videos, you look at my previous ones, you can see the process playing out day in, day out, and I explain the same setups, the same scenarios across all markets. And if you continue to follow along with me and you study my work, you will be able to trade like me one day. So let me continue on. So our next region that we're breaking into currently is an area of resistance right here. So what I want to do is I want to go into the micro scale after marking all of this up. So we already say that this is a false drive to the downside. So where are we going to have a stop loss? Stop loss is going to be a few pips below 0.919. So if I do a minor area of support, this is basically our intraday stop. So if we're going to take a trade at all, this would be the bare minimum that we take based off of this time frame, which is still a 66 pip stop loss, which is kind of wide. So let's go into the 30-minute time frame. Now we're going into the intraday time frame, so we could kind of see where price is currently hinting that it's going to go. So we see that there is the resistance that we drew, and we can see that old area of resistance, I mean, it would have been stronger had it held last week, but now because time is definitely a factor in price. So if too much time goes by, what's going to happen? You can see how charts shifting, correct? If too much time goes by, what's going to happen is that previous area of resistance is no longer going to be a significant area. So at the moment, we could kind of remove this area of resistance because apologize for that. I deleted the wrong thing because it's insignificant. So once I delete that, now what do we have? The next area of resistance, which is quite some pips above. It's a significant amount, 55 pips above. That will be our first target. Now our signal to go long, because I'm going to do a market order, is simply right here. This is a signal to go long. That signal was given at the end of last week. So what had happened at the end of last week is that all of these retail sellers that was built up throughout last week in that stop run that I explained, all of their stops got hit. And then the retail buyers had stops that got hit as well. So now we're staying in no man's land. So right now I could potentially place a buy order, and my stop loss will be based off of that minor region. That will be my bare minimum. That would be like the absolute minimum stop loss I could place on this setup. I would go into the 5-minute time frame and describe this as well, but the problem is that when I get into these type of time frames, these are scalping time frames, intra-session, or in other words, it's great for me to find my signals based off of these time frames. But when it comes down to placing my stop loss, I'm still getting familiar with that. So I'm not going to place the most strongest stop, but I will definitely, I see that it's 60 pips away. I'm going to bet about 0.15 on this trade. Market order. Matter of fact, I'll bet 0.20 going longs on Usdchf market order. So this is going to be my long, and then my stop loss, I'm going to drag it down. That's just the intra-session. Let's go into 15 minutes so we can see a little bit clearer detail. So price, it went up, created an area of support, broke down resistance. So anything below this low should be able to hold up. And now, if I were taking this trade based off of the intra-session, the shorter term, I would have stops slightly below this area right here. But like I said, I'm not too confident in that setup. I do believe that price could potentially swing back down and knock out this zone right here. And that's why I am still going to represent my bias to be bullish, but I'm going to have a stop loss a few pips below this minor area of support right here until I can have further conviction. So a total of about 70 pips is going to be my stop loss on this pair. It is kind of wide, but once this resistance gets broken right here, then we could definitely foresee price going up further. And I want to do one more minor area of resistance right here, because what's going to happen is price is going to take out this wick right here, and then we can see that this bottom is going to be represented as a strong support at that point. It's showing that the bottom is holding, but until this resistance is hit, we cannot really foresee that price happening, and so that's what I'm going to use. And now going back onto the bigger time frame, I'm going to TP1 is going to be 56 pips away. That's going to be my intraday target, but I do see price hitting these stops. So TP1 will be about 60 to 70 pips away. All right, that's TP1. So we already have a 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio on our trade setup. Now TP2 is going to be, well, obviously we're going to want to see the daily high get knocked out. So about 102 pips. That's going to be my target for my ultimate target one. So TP1 is right around 93.17. TP2 is where my current profit is placed, and TP3 is going to be around 0.945, and that's about another 75 pips away. So by the end of today, if we do see a daily close above this wick, then we can foresee price continuation upwards. But until we can see a price close on a daily above that wick, I don't believe price is going to just yet go up. And we can see on the 4-hour, if price does continue to go towards the upside, we could see potential continuation towards 0.9359. But before that happens, we do have to see price close above 0.931 before we could confirm that. So we're taking it every step of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take maybe some partial profit right above these highs and going to re-enter if it does go back down, or I can have my strongest trade right now. So if I were to do this, let's just do a reset. 0.20, I'm going to do a 0.4 total, and this is because I want to have two targets. Like I said, target 1 is going to be right here, target 2 is going to be right here. I'm going to reload whenever there is a break above. I'm going to make a new analysis, and then my stop loss for these is going to be slightly below this. I said about 70, put 76 pips away just to be on the safe side. And this is our setup for the next 24 to 48 hours, guys. It may take a little bit longer, but this is my breakdown for USDCHF. Hopefully it clicks, and I'll follow up with you all later on this week.